Hey everybody, I was just on my way home and I wanted to stop at this park because isn't it beautiful? And actually a train just went by, so I better be quick because I wanted to answer some of these questions that you sent in for me as my role as Director of Leader Communications at World Vision. So one of the questions that came in was, what are some of the best communications tactics and platforms to use in leader communications in an organization? And I would say that first you've got to focus on strategy. You need to know what you're trying to achieve first and then think about how to get there. And then you've got to measure your work to make sure that you're making an impact. So I'll give you an example. I was working with a leader and I noticed that in his team, it seemed that staff were getting a lot of business updates, but they were missing out on human connection opportunities. And that's what makes it fun to come to work. And when you're in a virtual environment, that can be a risk if you're not doing enough of that. So we decided to launch a newsletter. And in the newsletter, we had staff write first-person reflections about diversity, inclusion, and they talked about their role in the organization and what brought them here so we could get to know each other. We even had funny travel mishap stories and talked about strange foods they've eaten. So I think all those kinds of stories really helped build our culture and made it a safe place to work, and we really got to know each other better. So newsletters can be a lot of work, but if you know what you're trying to achieve and it does fill a communications gap, which I thought that there was here, then it can be worthwhile. And if you have the metrics to show that it's working, then carry on. But other tools that are useful are videos and team chats and surveys. So you can get creative with tactics, but again, you've got to know what you're trying to achieve first. The second question that came in is, how do I align communications efforts across diverse teams? Now, since I work with executives, in my mind, I thought, well, I'm going to write a consistent communication strategy for each of the leaders that focuses on a heart-first leadership approach, and that will eventually affect staff and their teams, and then staff will have a consistent experience, despite the leaders having very diverse roles. And I also wanted to focus on staff care because I think that is super important in our organization. Externally, I wanted our leaders to be our chief advocates, chief ambassadors, chief thought leaders. And so in order to do that, we focused on storytelling and personal branding. And I would say, it's really important that if you want to lead wide-scale change in an organization, you do need to have consistency, so that, one way to do this is really to leverage best practices that have shown proof of concept. So that's something to think about when you're leading change, is like start small and think about how then to build that out across an organization. So thank you for the questions that you've sent in. I really enjoyed answering them, and I look forward to doing another video soon.